Hello and welcome Disney Infiniteers. This is James from iHeartInfinity.com, and today we will be taking a look at Rey, one of the main characters of The Force Awakens, and one of the two characters who comes with the Force Awakens playset for Disney Infinity. And before we begin, I will just let you know that since The Force Awakens has only just hit theaters at the time I'm recording this, we will be doing this review spoiler-free. As a point of clarification, I consider anything in the trailers to be fair game. So keep that in mind while you decide if you want to continue watching or put it off until you've seen the movie. And with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and jump right into Rey's background. Rey was introduced in Star Wars VII: The Force Awakens, and hasn't been seen in any media outside of that. Without going into spoilers, what we know is she is a scavenger from the planet Jakku. And with that, let's go ahead and talk about her figure compatibility. Rey is a Disney Infinity 3.0 character, which means she's only usable in 3.0. You cannot use her in 1.0 or 2.0. She should be future-proof, which means she should be usable in 4.0 and beyond. Now, within Disney Infinity 3.0, she's usable in all three of the Star Wars playsets. That's the Twilight of the Republic, Rise Against the Empire, and The Force Awakens. And within The Force Awakens, she's available by default. You can use her right from the beginning. In the other two playsets, however, you have to find her crossover coin before you can use them, and we have videos up if you need help finding those. Outside of the playsets, you can also use her in the various toy box modes, including Takeover and Speedway. There are no toy boxes designed specifically for her at this point, but given the popularity of the movie, I figure it's just a matter of time. And so let's go ahead and move on to the meat of the character, that is the gameplay. Like the other two Force Awakens protagonists, that's Poe Dameron and Finn, she is a combination melee and ranged fighter, aka a hybrid character. Her primary attack is using her staff as a close-range weapon, and her second attack is using her pistol for long range. She and Zeb are actually the only two characters from the Star Wars universe who use a melee weapon other than a lightsaber, which is kind of interesting. But that's where her similarities to Zeb kind of end. Her melee combat, the staff combat, is very similar to the Mulan style of combat that we've seen in Disney Infinity 3.0 so far. While her ranged combat is much more pistol-oriented, and you could probably liken it more towards Luke Skywalker or someone like that. And I will also note that even though there's kind of an equal emphasis on ranged and melee with her, I would definitely consider her more on the melee side of things. The staff is definitely her primary weapon, as opposed to, say, Finn, who definitely leans towards using his blaster. Unfortunately, I have a couple issues with how the melee combat with her was set up, specifically in regards to her combo attacks. These are the ones where you have to hit the attack button, wait a little bit, then hit the attack button again. Normally you can tell based on some sparks coming off of her weapon. In the case of Rey, the delay required seems excessive, and it often puts you in a very dangerous situation in combat, especially if you're fighting more than two guys at once. This is especially noticeable if you've just come from playing one of the faster characters like Ahsoka Tano or Kylo Ren, if we want to stick with the Force Awakens characters. And it makes Rey feel more sluggish than she really should, because she is actually an agile character. So what this means is, instead of doing combo attacks, I end up just mashing the attack button. In fairness, if you're playing with little kids, they're probably not using the combo attacks and they're just button mashing anyway, so this might be a very good thing for them. It's just not a playstyle that I'm currently accustomed to using, and it kind of disrupts my flow. Your mileage will vary. And another thing to keep in mind here, of course, is her special attack, which is maybe not visually interesting, but it's actually quite powerful, and there are two different variants of it. The main version of her special attack will see her leap forward and hit a bad guy with her staff, doing a lot of damage. If you then upgrade it and hit the primary attack button while it's still completing that attack, she will then vault forward even farther and do another attack either against the same enemy or against a different enemy if the first one is dead. Fortunately, this doesn't seem to cost an additional charge like some of the other special upgrades do for some characters. And on top of all that, she of course has her finisher move, which I've only rarely seen because it's so hard to pull off her combos, although you can just mash the attack button, and if you hit enough times it will eventually trigger. And as you just saw, of course, all it does is she shoots her blaster a number of times and she'll shoot them into the air if she hits them enough. It's certainly powerful enough if you can pull it off. And so to sum it all up, I think this is a character that really isn't an essential part of a Disney Infinity collection unless you are a completionist or a Star Wars completionist. Of course, that's also a moot point because she does come with the playset, so you're automatically going to get her unless you buy everything secondhand. But for me at least, I'm far less likely to put her out as a showpiece as opposed to, say, Kylo Ren or Ahsoka Tano or some of the other really cool looking guys, maybe Darth Vader. But it's also important to note that's not really the fault of Disney Infinity Team. They didn't have much to work with her design. Even in the movie, and this is not spoilers, she pretty much stays to the same brown and white palette throughout the entire thing. And while the staff is a really cool weapon, it's just not visually as striking as a lightsaber. And like I said, that's not Disney Infinity Team's fault. I'd actually level the same complaint against a number of the statues and figures that I've seen that aren't related to the game. So at the end of the day, there's really no point in me making a recommendation on whether or not to get this figure. If you want to play the playset, you're going to get this figure. And she's a perfectly acceptable figure. She's just not exceptional in the way that we've seen some of the other Star Wars characters be, including some of the characters from the set, including Kylo Ren. And as we'll see in future videos, both Poe and Finn have some problems with them too, which keep me from recommending them on a high level. Which is unfortunate because I actually really like all three of them as characters, both in the movie and in the playset. It's just that they don't necessarily translate well into the playstyle, especially compared to our currently existing Jedi and Sith characters. And if it sounds like I'm being kinda harsh on this figure, it's because I really want her to be a fun character, a character who becomes one of my go-tos, and as it currently stands, I don't see that happening. Fans of The Force Awakens should still definitely pick this up. They should definitely be playing the playset, but maybe keep your expectations tempered. And that pretty much wraps it up for us. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and may the Force be with you.